Saw the yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the Yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the Yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the Yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the Yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the Yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the Yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the Yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze. Saw the Yeah, grew up in a concrete jungle where dreams get lost in a haze.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Mets Roundtable podcast right here on Hector and my X account, and of course on YouTube as well, as we got 3 of the 4 of the squad here tonight, and maybe a special guest, but we ain't going to confirm that just yet. But we do got the wildcard standings up there for you guys, so you guys can see just how bad the Mets have played over the last 2 games. But let's not go that crazy into the New York Mets just yet, because of the fact that the last time we had a roundtable was, I would say, about a month ago. Mostly my fault, so guys can blame me. But it's also scheduling, summertime. Hector tried to he's too cool for school with Mania hanging out, throwing ball with him, stuff like that. Hayden just with the sunglasses and all that fun stuff. He's not wearing the Twins hat, are you? I don't know. We're playing them soon. I don't know if okay, perfect. So that's a good sign as well. But unfortunately,
what is he wearing? Did he show what he's wearing?
Okay. We can deal with Boston today.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another roundtable, guys. The last time we were here, we were not in a wild card spot. We were playing better, but not exactly where all Met fans were starting to believe that the deadline would actually be an actual buyer's remorse, maybe, because what I've seen from a couple of people, and I know everybody's seen the Frank the Tank rant with Sal Licata, which is just, my God.
He's the man.
Oh my God. This guy thrives off of them losing. Like, he benefits from them losing more than they win. Like, when was the last time you seen a video of him when they were winning? Right? They lose 2 in a row because Sal Licata says what he says, and he goes apeshit. Like, I just don't understand, guys. Listen, the players play on the field. We all know that. The manage, right? The Braves were just better than us the last 2 days. And, we do forget that they are the Atlanta Braves. They also have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. If you look, they give up the least amount of runs in baseball. The Mets had a tough series, right? To be honest, they should have lost 3 out of 4, if you're really going to be honest about it. But they split the series. They ended up a game and a half, just like where they were when they started the series. Unfortunately, it started very well for us in the first 2 games, but what are we going to do? So let's say what up to the crew. Hayden, long time no see, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? I know it's definitely been a minute since we were on here, probably about a month. A lot's happened since then for the New York Mets and just throughout Major League Baseball in general. I was away myself. Every summer when my buddies and I would go to a couple of ballparks around the country, and this past month I was in Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Cleveland for a couple of series, so that was pretty fun. So good to see that, obviously, and then returning to our New York Mets, who have really turned it around the last couple of weeks, especially as of lately. So morale is high. There are, of course, always its obstacles with the Mets. Whenever something good happens, it coincides with something bad. But 55-50, I think most Mets fans will take that right now. And, we're going to get into all that tonight, obviously, on this stream. But if you want to check me out, as always, Mets Talk with Hayden. Did a podcast earlier this week. And good to be back here with Hector and, of course, Rob. And hopefully Chris is tuning in at some point. And, LFGM, let's go.
Absolutely, yeah. Chris is on his world tour, finishing it up, his summer world tour. So he'll be with us again soon, and he'll probably pop in the comment section at some point tonight. But Hector,
Yes,
hi.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Look, you see those owls behind you, right? I think that was all these Mets again, because they didn't play well today and the day before. So Hector, how you doing? And how you feeling about the Braves split, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good overall. Listen, man, I don't think we can complain too much. It's been a great month and a half or whatever the heck it's been. The Braves series right now, like I told you before we got started here, of course, the first time we come back for a roundtable, who knows how long, it has to be for 2 losses to the Braves, and there's a little bit of negativity for people that are just waiting for any little thing to go bad or whatever, so they can harp on the negative, right? So you're getting a lot of that. But I still feel pretty good. I think coming into the season, this is kind of what I wanted. I wanted this team to show, this front office to show us that they can, with a little help, maybe, make a playoff, even if the focus wasn't that this year. So, I don't want to go on and on as we're just getting started, but I feel pretty good. Do I like that we lost 2 of 4 of the Braves, that we split a 4-game series? No, I don't like it. Once you win the first 2, do you think, okay, we have to win this series, possibly sweep? Absolutely. Do I want to do that anyways all the time? Absolutely. But come on, to start saying, oh my gosh, now we really got to sell, forget it, this is it, forget about it. I think that's a little bit ridiculous, but I feel good. I feel good and good to be back. Good to be back. I almost thought we were going to have to reintroduce ourselves, to each other, to the viewers, but I think they remember us, hopefully.
That's all right. People have been asking for it for a couple of weeks, so they finally get it. Listen, guys, it's frustrating because of the last 2 games we lost, right? we had unfortunate injuries, right? That came out of nowhere. I mean, Senga said hello and then goodbye in the same day. There's nothing you could do about that. Like it's just shitty luck. But you know what? I do know one thing though. David Stearns is getting the needs of this ball club, right? I understand Santa gave up 2 home runs today. I understand he didn't look good, but he is a guy that could be dominant. He is a guy that is going to help this bullpen. Same thing with Maton, and the same thing with Jesse Winker, right? There was a lot of talk that the Mets were involved with Michael Conforto, and then Jesse Winker came out of nowhere because it wasn't really rumors about Winker. It was more about Michael Conforto. The fans were kind of more on Jesse Winker than anybody else. So, again, we know that when you don't hear rumors getting leaked to the media, that means they're actually doing work. They're working hard to get players here. So that is the most important thing. Again, Heck, what's up?
No, go ahead. I'll be right back. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So, that's the thing that I know people were upset about. Like, as soon as Stanek gave up the home runs, I mean, X went absolutely berserk. And, it is what it is, right? Again, pitchers give up home runs. He is a guy who's prone to home runs in his career. Like, this is not something new. He just got to limit them. And, coming into Seattle's a pretty decent-sized ballpark, but you would expect him to pitch better at Citi Field. We'll see how that goes, right? We do have, exactly, Ron, we got 57 games to go. So we got a decent amount of games to go, 2 months to be exact, and the Mets could fall apart, or they can continue to ride this wave, making a playoff spot. So, Hayden, I'm just going to ask you, right? We got the Twins coming up next, right? The Mets had an amazing turnaround over these last 2 months, right? I don't think anybody expected this type of turnaround. There were some positive people, myself and Chris, that were still positive in some areas of this team fighting for their lives. I don't even think me or Chris thought it was going to be this much turnaround. Again, it can fall apart. It can be the same as it is now, or it could be better. We still have 2 months of the season. But what are your thoughts right now? And what is the most surprising to you for a guy? Let's be honest. You were very against this team and negative towards this team. And listen, you were the first ones to call small market Stearns and didn't believe in Cohen, right? So what are your thoughts now? Are you a believer? Do you think this team is sustainable and could get a wild card spot, even though they're in one right now, but can end making the playoffs? Or do you still have that little Hayden in the back of your mind saying, I don't trust this team?
It's tough. And I mean, you go back to what, 2 months ago, May 28th, just about. And I mean, how could you not be all negative about this team? I mean, this team was hit rock bottom, in the toilet, stabbed in the heart times 10. I mean, they looked brutal. I mean, they were blowing every other game left and right in the 8th inning, 9th inning. Just anything that could happen negatively, they did it. They lost every game in every different way every other day. You had a clubhouse that was defeated mentally checked out. I mean, we saw it with the Jorge Lopez with the throwing his glove in the stand, with just, I mean, how could you not? And then, really what turned around this team? Well, you could say Grimace, but I guess that's if you want to go with that, I guess why not? But really what turned it around, I would say, was the team meeting. And like I said, I don't know what was said in it. I wouldn't be surprised if during this offseason, a lot of reports come out on what was said and what transpired 24 hours before and after that team meeting. Because and my dates could be incorrect. So if any of you guys know or in the chat want to educate me, or if I am incorrect with the scheduling, but I believe you guys had that abysmal series against the Dodgers. Then I believe you played the D-backs after that. You split that, so that was okay. It was a sign of life. Then I believe you played the Nationals, went over to London. Or no, you won the series against the Nationals. You split in London. You came back and you won in another national series, and then the whole Marlins Grimace thing started, and then you really just took off from there. So something must have happened. Something must have clicked. And, JD Martinez said it. I remember on the post game a while ago is, they're beating themselves. And it's true. They're a good team on paper. They're a good lineup. Bullpen is okay. Definitely needs to improve a lot. But I guess to answer Rob's question without rambling off, this team definitely does look believable. I think right now the Mets control their own destiny. They're a team where, obviously I don't want to have to rely on other teams' failures for this team to succeed, right? We don't want to have to focus on the Pirates and the Padres and the Braves, what they do for the Mets to move up in the standings. Just focus on the Mets. Just go out there, win ball games, win series. You have the roster to do it. This is a roster that is capable of doing it. There are definitely some inadequate and unfortunate things that this team has to deal with. Like I said, the Senga injury, and, we'll get into all of those things down the line, of course, and throughout the remainder of the stream. But, right now, this is a team that is capable. Do I believe in them? Yeah, I would say right now I do. This is a team that is not on just the hot streak. They're playing how they're supposed to be playing.
Correct.
This is how they should have been playing since, April 1st or whenever the season started. So, listen, yesterday, it was a minor setback. It sucked. This offense is something that definitely needs to be looked at and talked about. I'm not worried about the offense that much. Offenses are streaky. It's just this is the worst time for your offense to be streaky the week before the deadline. Do it in 3 weeks from now. I don't care. But out of all the times your offense is going to be streaky, it could not be the week before the deadline or the week of. The bullpen, we'll talk more about. I'm assuming we'll get into that later. So I'll save my thoughts for that when it comes to the MLB trade deadline topic. But I guess overall, to answer the question, I do believe in this team. I think this is a team that is capable of going far. This is an underrated team. Historically, we've seen where the Mets are World Series teams in April and May, and then June, July, August, September, they're nail in the coffin, where maybe we change that around a little bit, right? We saw that this year. They were okay April and sucked in May, and, now they're playing pretty well. So, who knows? Maybe some, reverse there. So we'll see. But right now, I do believe in this team. I think that they are only going to lose to themselves.
I agree. And, the JD Martinez home run against the Marlins kind of turned everything around. We could talk about the meeting. We can talk about Grimace. We can talk about, oh, my God. We can talk about all that stuff. You know what it comes down to? The players that you're actually paying the big bucks to, the players that's supposed to be the stars of your team, doing their fucking jobs, right? All we talked about on Roundtable, specifically in May, to be exact, was this guy wasn't doing his job. That guy wasn't doing his job. We can go back to our stars. Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso, Martinez wasn't doing their job. They just weren't doing their job. We talked about it. It was the supporting cast, the Baders, the Tyrone Taylors, the Alvarez's early on. They were the guys that were doing their job, the bottom of the order that was doing their job. And it comes down to your stars started to play better, play to the back of their baseball cards, and your team starts to win. That's not a hard concept to figure out. It's just exactly what should happen. And, if you really look at the month of April, May, June, and July, the 4 months of the season so far, the Mets had one bad month, and that was May. April was a 500 month. June was outstanding. July is pretty good, right? There's a pretty good chance the Mets, I think, will be a few games over 500 in July, if I'm not mistaken. Even if they get swept by the Twins to end July, they still have a winning record in July. And that's the whole idea. Once you get back over 500 and you're a couple of games over, unless you have a disastrous month over the next couple of months, you'll be fine. You will be absolutely fine. So this team, I'm not too worried about. And I know we're going to talk about the rotation a little bit more. I think the rotation is getting a lot of slack for no reason. We forget that when the offense didn't do absolutely nothing for 2 months, this, quote unquote, average rotation kept this team alive, even when the bullpen wasn't good. So just because you don't believe they're a good enough rotation in the postseason, I bring this argument up all the time. We'll get into the rotation a little bit later, but I want to bring this up. Go back to the playoffs last year, and I looked at this. The average starter in all of the playoffs last year went 5 1/3 innings. The two teams in the World Series last year, you know how many pitches went only 4 innings? Almost all of them. So it's not about the dominant
I'm sorry, Rob, in the playoffs or on their way to the playoffs?
In the playoffs. 5 1/3.
Yeah, no, we know usually is a
Look,
show.
I'm not saying that dominant starting pitching. Look, we all would like it, right? But didn't we have dominant starting pitching in 2022? How did that fare against us? We had the pitching matchups at every moment. Now, quality pitching, I think, is more important, and I still think a solid bullpen gets you further in the playoffs in this day and age of baseball because you use it so much more often. 5, 6 innings in a game, like that's how much we use bullpen in today's game. So again, we'll get into that a little later, but when it comes to this team, Stearns is already getting the needs of this team, right? I think we all can agree that we probably need one more bullpen arm and a rotation arm. Now, how big of an arm we get for each one of those is yet to be determined. We'll have our opinions about that in a second. And Hector, I'm going to start with you. Look, the trade deadline's in a couple of days, Tuesday, 6 p.m. I think the Mets are going to get another bullpen arm and a rotation arm. Do you think it's going to be one big arm in one of those spots, or you think it's going to be an average arm or two in each one of those spots? What are your thoughts on that going to the deadline?
I think that depends on what the Mets, David Stearns and these guys are willing to give up in order to get this. We know the competition is high. We know there are many teams that are buying. This is a seller's market, right? And we know that even though we are where we are, and they have bought, and we are buyers, and depending on who you listen to, the Mets are going for it, whatever that means, right? What does that really mean? They're going for it, right? But I think that all depends on how much the Mets are willing to give up. But I think they'll be responsible. I would think right now, if you can get a starter, you will go out and try to get it. If it's somebody that you can have under control, a young guy, if that's available. I don't know. I haven't really looked at who's available. There's been a few moves. I'm not sure who's moved and who hasn't. To be honest with you, I've been a little busy, so I haven't been able to keep up with that. But I know what this team, I feel it needs. And, yeah, if we can get for a while we were saying an innings eater, especially with Senga coming back and stuff, but an innings eater, but also someone that can, stop, stop a losing streak, that can go out there and maybe start a game 1 or game 2 of a playoff series. You know what I'm saying? Now, does that mean you go out there and try to get a Blake Snell? I don't know. Again, I think it all depends on course. I don't get too crazy about minor leaguers or anything like that. Prospects become suspects. I'm a believer. I see people losing their mind because we gave up a double-A guy. I think he was in double-A with a 3.94 ERA or whatever the hell he has. Come on, give me a break. But yeah, no, definitely bullpen. And listen, another bat wouldn't be a bad thing. And of course, that also depends on what the situation is with Starling Marte. We can argue about how much you can expect from him if he ever does make it back, but depending on what they think and whether he can make it back or not, that's also going to impact on what kind of move they make. Same thing with Beta, which I don't think Beta is that serious. But I do want to say this real quick because, we're going on, and Hayden touched on it a little bit, the offense. See a couple of the comments, the offense. And listen, I understand the offense is frustrating, right? But I was looking at some of the numbers to see where do the Mets stand compared to other teams. And an average, okay. The best average in baseball is the Padres. That's 264. The Mets are 12 with a 248 average overall as a team. Obviously, that's not great. You want to bring that up. Then you go to home runs, which everybody loves. Everybody loves the home runs. The Orioles are 1 with 163. The Mets are 5. 5 in baseball in home runs with 137. RBI, Yankees number 1 with 516. Mets 487. 6 in baseball. Stolen bases, the Mets are 12. Who cares? In runs, Yankees 536 runs, number 1. Mets number 6 at 506. On base percentage, Dodgers number 1, 334. Mets number 9, 331. Slugging, 449 for the O's. Mets number 7 at 420. OPS, Dodgers number 1 at 770. Mets number 7 at 741. So they're top 10, top 12 in almost every important offensive category. Now you want to go into advanced metrics and all of that nonsense? Go ahead, have a ball. I say all that to say, listen, the biggest problem we know with this team is more about situational. It's more about runners and scoring position. Maybe I should have looked that up. They don't seem to do too well with that. And then these cold spells that they go on where it's like the whole team goes into a little bit of a slump at the same time. But I think there's stuff there. I mean, we just came, and I was going to look up the records. Right? I think we had the best record in June, or we were tied with the Astros for the best record in June.
Mm-hmm.
We're, I believe, 15-11 in July. Since this whole thing started, and you guys were saying you want to say grimace, you want to say this, let me tell you something right now. The least responsible thing you can look at for this run is grimace. Honestly. Now, I'm not saying you dismiss it. I'm not saying I'm hating on grimace, but the team had no idea that grimace was a thing. That was a thing with the fans. You know what I'm saying? And if anything, maybe it helped loosen up the fans a little bit. And the little winning streak and their attention to grimace, and that made it fun, even when probably pessimistically most fans were like, whatever. So it's a 5-game win because we saw some of that. Oh, the team has won 5 games in a row, whatever. Oh, it's won 6 games, whatever. We've seen them do this before. They'll go now and lose 10 or whatever the case may be. Oh, they won 3 or 4 series in a row. They'll lose the next 5. You know, but because grimace was attached to it, they still had a little fun with it, whatever. But grimace is the least. Now, I'm not going to dismiss the team meeting. Some people can, and yeah, for the most part, team meetings maybe don't matter. But Hayden, you touched on it. We've seen a switch with this team. We saw a switch with this team, an approach, and enthusiasm, and everything, and how they were acting. So, and they talked about challenging each other, about changing some processes and all of that stuff, making sure that their work was proper and leading to the right path and to get victories. So there was definitely change. The pitching got a little bit better also at that time. The bullpen had a little bit, a little bit of finding of itself, but it got a little bit better with Nunez finding a spot, Budo coming up. So that helped. I saw somebody just say, oh, now look up the pitching numbers. Yeah, we know. We know the pitching is killing this team. Well, I don't even want to say starting pitching because they take turns. Sometimes it's the starters, sometimes it's the bullpen. But the good thing is, for the most part, recently, we've been putting a complete game together. And that's something I think to be happy about. Yeah, I listen, and it's 2 games. It's 2 games. We ran into some good pitching. You guys know I'm not one to say that. I hate that crap. Oh, it was a tough challenge, whatever. But it's the facts of the facts. The Braves been pitching well. Yeah, the offense is struggling because they're missing some guys. But they've still been pitching well, and that's why they've still been able to at least stay where they are, But, man, you asked me about the trade deadline, and I went into all of that. But, yeah, no, listen. I want to buy. I want to buy responsibly. It doesn't mean I want to mortgage the future. I'm going to let David Sims figure out what to sell, what to keep. I always say, good GMs, good president, whatever it is that's in charge, know when to sell guys and which guys to keep. So I'm just going to throw a name out there. Maybe now's the time to sell on Brett Beatty. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. It's David Stern's job to figure out if, hey, listen, he hasn't kind of panned out here. His stock is way up because he's killing the minor leagues. He's Babe Ruth down there. Let me see if I can get rid of this guy. And listen, maybe he goes out and becomes a competent third baseman. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But let's go out there and buy responsibly.
Well, heck, I don't think Beatty's stock has jumped at all, to be honest with you. I think everybody in baseball knows that Brett Beatty is not a major league player at this point. He's been killing it. 3 times he went down in the minors. He goes down, starts hitting the ball over the wall. He comes to the major league. He buries the ball on the ground. I mean, he cuts the grass. That's what he does with the baseball. I don't think Brett Beatty is high on other people's in other teams' eyes than we might think because he's playing well in the minors. I mean, maybe you'll get a stupid team to think that and trade something good. We'll see, but excuse me, I'm sorry about that, guys. So I don't really know. Here's my problem, right? Hector. I know your thoughts on prospects or suspects and all that stuff. I'm on board with you with that, right? I'm not saying mortgage the future, but you build a farm system, especially when you have an infield, an abundance of infield prospects, and you don't have a third base question mark anymore, as Vientos seems like he has a job. Lindor's in shortstop, right? Even if McNeil might stick around, you still have like 37 options in the infield prospect-wise to fill the second base role. And I do believe if you don't keep Pete Alonso, Ryan Cliffort's going to be a first baseman. But let's say you keep Pete Alonso. There's one spot at second base that is available for 4 infield prospects. You can't keep them all in the minors and let them die in the minors. Good teams use their farm system. They pick and choose which ones they think that can help this team in the present, not the future. And you trade the rest that are assets to get better for your present team. That's what good teams do. I don't care what the thought process was prior to the season. I don't care if you didn't believe in this team prior to the season. The fact of the matter is the Mets are 5 games over 500 in a wild card spot with 57 games to go. If a team comes to you and say, hey, we'll give you Crochet right now, but we want Jet Williams, give me 3 top 10 players. You're going to say no to one of the better pitchers in baseball because you're afraid to get rid of Jet Williams, who doesn't really have a spot on this team? I'm sorry. Are you trying to win? Because you can't tell yourself or get mad about winning or losing games if you're not going to do what you have to do to actually win. Right? I hear the fans all the time, oh, we need bullpen help. We need starting pitching. Yeah, but I don't want to give up Jet Williams, Sprode, Basil. You're already talking about your top 10 prospects. So what do you expect to get the Mets to do? Like, the Mets failed in 2022 to not trade top prospects. They were afraid to. So they traded one of the bullpen arms that were useful to us in 2022 in Holderman for Vogelback and a bunch of nothings for Ruff and Naquin. Right? So you half-assed the deadline, yet you guys telling me you want to win, but you can't win and do better and get better if you're not going to give to get. Like, I'm not saying trade 7 of your top 10 prospects here, but you can't also tell me that the Mets don't have a better chance than anybody else if they make the playoffs, because we've seen the playoffs be a crapshoot. What if it is only that extra arm? Maybe it is that one big move the Mets make. We've seen it in 2015, right? It took Cespedes to turn a bad Mets team into a World Series team. One guy. When Lucas Duda was playing first, Wilmer Flores was playing third base. Like, I mean, come on, guys. The fact of the matter is, you just gotta give to get. And we do have a special guest here that is that I didn't think he was gonna pop in, but he's here. I see him right now. I'm gonna shoot him up right now, and he's fixing his phone, so I don't want to, catch him at the wrong moment. But we do have Mr. Sal Licata. The man is here. Sal Licata is here. Sal,
yes.
How are you today?
Good. What's up, guys? How are you?
We don't let this guy come in and interrupt our stuff, man. Who does this guy think he is, man? What's up, buddy, man? Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. I wanted to make sure I did it tonight because I saw you promoted before, so I felt bad. But we got the Yankees on, but that game's out of control now. Also, because of the Yankee game, I'm not going on SNY until later, so I had some time now. So what do we got going on here?
Well, we're yelling about prospects and trading prospects at the deadline. So, Sal, I'll ask you, what are you willing to do at this deadline, you personally, not Stearns, when it comes to giving up prospects to getting the arms you might need in the rotation or the bullpen?
Well, I mean, I don't think they're going to give up a top guy, and neither would I, honestly. I do want them to go for it. and I think it's imperative that they get a top starter. But I'd rather see them take on some bad contract or some more salary to be able to do that. I think it's either Snell. I mean, Schoolball would be the dream, but you're going to have to give up a boatload for him. So do you want to give up? I don't know what it's going to take. Is it a top 5 prospect? Is Beatty plus taking on a bad contract enough? I really don't know what it's going to take. But I think if the Mets don't come away with either Snell, Flaherty, Schoolball, they will have disappointed, to say the least, at this deadline.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you would rather go after a bigger arm in the rotation than a bullpen arm, a bigger bullpen
I think they
arm.
need both. I don't think they've gotten the, and forget even about Stanek's performance today. I just don't think he was that guy. The guy I wanted was the Angels closer, and of course the Phillies got him. Just like a couple of years ago, the guy I wanted was Raisel Iglesias from the Angels, and the Braves got him. So that was a big arm to get then. The Mets missed the boat, in my opinion, there. I think they missed the boat again. And I know the Phillies gave up apparently a lot to get him. Again, who knows with these prospects, but I think that was the arm to get. The Mets need not just an arm in the bullpen. They need a dominant, no doubt about it, lockdown arm in the bullpen to go along with Diaz, and they haven't gotten that yet. So I want a top of the – they said they're going all in, or at least those are the reports that they're going all in. If you are going to go all in and want to be taken seriously as a World Series contender, you need a top-of-the-rotation starter and a legitimate bullpen arm.
And
It's
what
funny
you heard
say that. Oh, my bad, Rob.
I'm sorry. No,
I was going to say, it's funny you said that because right before he came in, I was saying, like, what does going for it really mean? Like, what do we really think that means? Is it that they're going to go out and maybe mortgage some of the future or give up some higher level prospects to go get some of the guys that Sal's mentioning? I don't know, but you guys know me. I'm all for it. I'm about the here and now, but I do want to be responsible. I've been preaching, responsible by. But I also think, man, unless you're going to go and do what the Astros did and teams like that, and you're going to just totally tear it up and go through some hard times to hopefully get that sustained success, when you get to this point and you have a chance to make a playoffs and see what happens, I think you have to go for it.
The one thing they have to be careful about, they're not going to be reckless as far as trading the prospects. What they need to do is figure out which ones aren't going to hit. Because, and I don't mean hit literally, I mean hit as in pan out. Because let's just say they have all the top guys that we mentioned all the time: Williams, Acuna, Gilbert, whatever. Pick the 2 young arms that everybody raves about now. Just like last year was Vassell. Now all of a sudden you can't find Mike Vassell. So nobody knows what these prospects. Beatty. Now you'd give him away if you could for which, by the way, they might still trade him because he does have some value. But you get the point. So what they need to do is figure out which ones they believe aren't going to pan out and then make it right. You can't miss on these deals. So, the Pete Crow Armstrong for Javi Baez was a bad trade for multiple reasons. If you make a trade like that, but help the team now, it lessens the blow of what this player is going to be moving forward. But you also have to identify the right guys because they're not all going to pan out. The Mets next year are not going to have Gilbert, Williams, Acuna, all the pitchers, not even next year, beyond. They're not all going to pan out. So they have to figure out which ones aren't and then deal those guys.
And if those guys are all on the team, then it's probably not a good team. And I'm glad you said it because I was saying some of the same things. I even mentioned Beatty as maybe now is the time to say, you know what? He's down and down to the minors. Maybe his stock is a little bit high. His value is a little high because he kills it down there. And maybe now is the time to say, you know what? This guy, this is the time to move him. And I've always said the good GMs, the good president know when to do that. People want to kill the Yankees, but Brian Cashman seems to be able to sell guys on hype. And how many of them go somewhere else and really turn out to be stars? And they've been able to get plenty of good players to help them. We can
That's the key. That's the key. The Mets farm system historically has not been very good. So now they've done a nice job of building it back up. But how is it looked at around baseball? It's still not a top farm system, maybe the way the Orioles were, or maybe even the way the Yankees farm system is. So I'm not sure. I do know this. The greatest strength the Mets have is going to be able to take on a bad contract back. And I'd be surprised if they don't make a big move. Like, Stanek's not a big move. Winker's a good move, solid move, and they needed it. And I'm glad they got that taken care of, so the offense should be set here. But they need a big move. If they're going to go all in and be taken seriously, they need a big move or maybe 2.
Do you really think the offense is set, though, Sal? Or do you think depending on what's going on with Marte, right? Or
it's as set as it's going to be. Like, Lindor – they're not doing anything with Alonso, so you're keeping him there. Vientos is Vientos. You're not doing anything to catch it with Alvarez. You got McNeil / Iglesias. You know, Nimmo, Bader, Winker. Yeah, Marte comes back like JD Martinez. What are you doing? There is no, unless they want to bring somebody up from the minors who maybe could contribute, sure. But where's the big move to be made with the lineup?
Yeah,
right. No, and
yeah.
there's
I
I'm
think
not
that's
saying I'm not saying that it's all going to be great from here on out. I'm just saying that like I feel like the pieces are in place. Now it's just a matter of those guys continuing to do their job.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, right? I think wherever you want to look in the lineup, I mean, you can always add a bat, but like you said, Sal, it's hard to find where you're going to put them, right? You know, you had that DJ Stewart spot that you needed to replace DJ Stewart, and Winker's that guy. So where are you going to put somebody? You know, God forbid of an injury, it might be too late. The trade deadline might have passed, but yeah, I think it's all about starting pitching and bullpen help. But Sal, have you heard anything behind the scenes when it comes to like, are people starting to believe, or at least like other organizations, that the Mets are willing to go for it more than they thought, say a week ago, when it comes to getting a top arm?
Well, the guy I trust the most with the reporting is Andy Martino, and he said last week that, I mean, tell me where he's been wrong. And he said, and it's not, by the way, it's not just him, but his report last week said that a rival GM or a GM, whatever, around baseball said that the Mets are going for it. And since then, they've made the trade for Winker. They got Stanek as well. So I think it just matters of what we as fans think going for it is versus what they think. Like, those are clearly moves that they're not selling off. But to me, when you say going for it, that means I'm going to try to put a World Series caliber team together. And for me, the one clear area where the Mets are lacking is the starting rotation as far as being World Series contenders. Also the bullpen, obviously, but they've at least addressed that a couple of different ways and then maybe get some guys back healthy here. But I think to be taken legitimate, like real seriously, they need a top rotation guy and they need an arm. And I felt that way before Senga, so I certainly feel that way now.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, Sal, are you surprised about this turnaround? Because I know a lot of Met fans didn't believe. You know, you heard the small market Stearns comments. You heard, you talked about King Cohen's crown is off on WFAN. You talked about that a lot. Are you shocked by this turnaround and how well this core has played? I mean, not really. Alonso had really turned it on, but the core and this overall team turned it around. I guess it's credit to Mendoza, what he did as well.
Well, who is the core in your mind?
Nimmo, Alonso, Lindor, and I guess you can throw Alvarez in there as well.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a great question, but the core coming into the year was clearly Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso, McNeil, and the core.
I like to throw Diaz in the core.
Well, I'm talking about lineup-wise.
Offensively, not, but I think he's part of the core.
Lineup, fair enough, but lineup-wise for now, that core did not turn it around because McNeil did nothing and Alonso hasn't done anything. Now, McNeil, obviously, in the few games since the All-Star break, starting to perform a little bit better, but which is nice because they needed it because the rest of the guys aren't really getting it done. But when you say core, am I surprised the core turned it around? It really hasn't. Lindor's done his job. Nimmo did for a while, although he's really cooled off. I'm shocked, that they were able to dig out from being 11 games under 500. I was watching the team just like everybody else. I did not think that there was a chance in hell that they would get it turned around to this extent. The other thing that I'm shocked at is Vientos. Vientos has been their most consistent player from start to finish of the season. A legitimate bat that they kept down. I didn't think he could play the position, third base. They were telling us that for a while. We saw it. It didn't look very good in years past. He's been more than serviceable over there. He's been fine at third base, and all the guy does is rake. So look at how the Mets have done it. That's what's surprising. Like, if you were to tell me Pete was going to hit 50 home runs this year, I would not have been surprised. I thought he was going to have that type year. I'm actually surprised he's been this bad. But the fact that they could turn it around without Pete, with Marte being hurt, with no Kodai Senga, with Diaz getting suspended, with Brooks Raley being hurt, Drew Smith being hurt, and on. Yeah, I mean, it's a shock how the Mets have turned their season around.
Yeah, I was kind of actually shocked that, I was one of the negative ones towards Vientos. I didn't think he was going to play good enough defensively to be in the lineup, and with JD Martinez being the DH, I know Vientos didn't have a spot, and he proved me wrong. Just like, you said it, Sal, like they told us he wasn't a good defensive third baseman, just like they said a couple of years ago that Alvarez wasn't a good defensive catcher.
Right.
And that was
Alonso. And that Alonso would never be able to play defense in the big leagues. Like, we've heard a lot of these things. So it goes to show you we need to wait and see it with our own eyes. But I thought I saw enough of Vientos. I figured maybe he could hit a little bit. But yeah, I mean, look, I was dead wrong about the guy. He's been great. Without Vientos, the Mets would not be here. Lindor's taken his game obviously to another level, but it's okay to be realistic about what we're seeing. You know, it's hard to just sit there and say, well, this guy's going to turn it around. All right, let's hold out hope. Now, maybe it could happen, but when we were seeing the Mets started on 1-5, there were 11 games under 500 multiple times. They were lifeless. They couldn't do anything. Nobody was hitting. I mean, you had to call for what it was. This is a shocking turnaround, and I'm happy to see it, obviously, but this is a shocking turnaround.
Yeah, and we're about 57 games to go. They're 5 games over 500 in the third wildcard spot as we speak. Again, this is going to be a back and forth the rest of the way here. Like, I don't think the Mets are going to, collapse, or I don't think they're going to run away with everything. I think it's going to come down probably to the last couple of series of the year, which is a tough couple of series at the end of the year. Do you believe this team's going to make the playoff now, Sal? Because I know we're in this whole area now where it's like, hey, they're looking good, but there's still some teams like the Padres have been playing outstanding as well. Do you think this team is going to make the playoffs at this point now?
I do. I said this probably a month or so back. There was a point where even though the Mets are playing well, I was not buying in. I was reluctant to buy in. I just didn't believe it. And I forget the exact series or the exact stretch, but I saw enough and I said, okay, this is legit, and I believe in this team. And at that point, I thought they would be a wild card team. And I still believe that to be the case. I would be worried about the Padres. Like, I think the Padres are legit and can maybe take the first wild card spot. I'm not as worried about Atlanta. I know the last 2 games weren't pretty, but the Braves are going the wrong way. They've just been a bad team. Now, could they wake up? Sure, I guess, but they're ravaged by injury as well. I would at this point, now it would be a major disappointment at this point, but I would be surprised if the Mets aren't a playoff team. I think they have enough. Just looking at them with the eye test, they should be a playoff team.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Heck, you got anything else for Sal?
No, I'm just, trying to give you some time since whatever. But Hayden, you got anything? Because I'm going to have some fun now, and Sal might want to.
I know what's coming.
Why, you want to talk about Lindor's family being at the game again?
I mean, listen. Let me explain. I did not have a problem with Lindor's family being at the game. If anybody heard or saw my post, I mean, a lot of people saw the post because anything I say that's perceived negative, it just runs. It's just I'm sitting there and I'm watching this. And how many times do you see a player continuously interact with their family during the game? You may see them acknowledge them, a little hello and stuff like that. And then for them to be that close, we've seen families close, on deck circle and stuff like that. But I was just like, wow. I wonder what would happen if Lindor was 0-for-4 tonight, the team loses, or if this was a player that's maybe, because as much criticism as Lindor gets, Lindor's the most loved player on this team. I don't care what nobody says. You can't say anything about this guy that they'll jump out of everywhere to defend him. So I'm just like, I wonder if this was a Jeff McNeil who's like not too popular right now, or anybody else, if the reaction would be the same, or if they were losing, if people would say, "Oh, get him off. What are you doing? You're not paying attention. You should be focused on the game." But I guess that was ridiculous of me to even think that.
You could think it. You could think it. You could do it on your blunt thoughts. You can't call WFAN and expect me to take that take that call seriously. Come on, man. You're better than that.
Well, no, because I was catching so much heat. I was like, you know what? Yeah. It's gonna be a waste of time. But let me ask BT and Sal and see what they think.
Fair enough. Well, whatever. Yeah.
Of course, I'm used to having conversations with you on the overnight and stuff. When I call in the daytime, I never know how far you're gonna let me go.
It's different. You
know
that.
I understand that. I understand, but I wanted to make a point of I agree with Big BT on the Lindor situation. I thought he was catching too much heat because let's be honest. You said it. It was a tough start for him and the team. Something happened. Something happened, whether it was a team meeting, whether it's bringing up Iglesias, whatever it was.
Well, moving him to lead off, the team meeting, team meeting and moving him to lead off to the leadoff spot. It felt like I don't want to say took the pressure off, but clearly something changed because he went from hitting $190 to being one of, if not the best player in the sport over the last 2 months. So something definitely changed at Lindor. It's great to see, too. And today he made a terrific – I know he's been good defensively, but the play he made today, that was Ordonez-like. That was the best one I think I've seen from Lindor. It sucks that it came in a loss, but it is what it is. He's been terrific all year long. I'm happy for him, and I wish he would have made the All-Star game.
No,
Yeah,
I thought he was amazing. I blame us fans for him not making the All-Star game because we spend most of our time bickering about who's better, Lindor or Nimmo, who's more important, Peter Alonso. Instead of getting behind our guy, let's make sure they go to the All-Star game. But then when they don't make it, we want to complain. We want to blame Major League Baseball. No, blame yourself. Look in the mirror and say, how many times did you vote? I know I don't vote, but I never do. But that's why I don't really complain. I wish he was there.
Right.
Whatever. But I also think we cannot discount the Jose Iglesias impact. We talked about the locker room, the clubhouse, what's going on, who's a leader. And I've always said, yes, we always look at the main players as being leaders and stuff like that. And those guys lead in different ways. But sometimes a leader is like, I watch a lot of podcasts, Sal, retired players in Spanish too. And they talk a lot of these Dominican players that retired. And so on with Carlos Gomez. And he talked about things of how he always in the clubhouse was the guy to make sure everything was loose. If there was some tension, he would crack a joke or whatever. And I feel like Iglesias was that guy for the Mets. I think even he made it so that Lindor and McNeil can actually laugh about things together, even if they were coexisting as teammates.
That's something that I said the other day on the fan that I think is a huge thing with this team. It's one of the reasons why I believe in them. Like, they have some talent, of course, but sometimes in baseball or in sports, you need that chemistry. You need a team to have fun to get over the hump. And I feel like that's what's happening here. So much so that they took a negative, which is Jeff McNeil slamming his helmet down, always being pissy, and being selfish in a lot of ways. They took that and made it a positive, calling him Happy Jeff, and we like Happy Jeff, kind of having some fun with it. So I like the, whatever it is, Iglesias 100%, the oh my God stuff, or the Grimace thing was more of a fans thing. But I do think that chemistry, I do think the chemistry thing is a big plus for the Mets.
No, absolutely. And I said the same thing about Grimace earlier. But let me ask you, because I'm sorry, Rob. And before we let him go, I got one more thing, the most important thing of the weekend. I don't know how long he's going to be here, anyways. But
a couple more minutes you got.
Our buddy Jack up on West Side. Remember Jack? He still thinks, and I think he has a point too. But the whole Lindor, the Happy Jeff thing, he takes it as, that's still Lindor taking another shot at Jeff and still showing his dominance over Jeff. And I'm like, damn, Jack, really? Like.
No, I don't think it's a shot. I think it was acknowledging that Jeff is moody. Like, we like Happy Jeff, meaning like we'd like to see him smile and have some fun a little bit. Right. Whereas everybody else is having fun, but if McNeil goes 0-4, he's in a bad mood. So I think it was just acknowledging it out in the open. I think it's a good thing.
No, I think so too, and I think that comes from the meeting. And I'm talking about being accountable and telling each other the truth and stuff like that. So. In a funny way, they found a way to tell Jeff, hey, lighten up, buddy. Lighten up. Should I, Rob?
Please do. You're going to do this because, you and Sal are cool. I can't do that. It's not fair. It's really not fair.
I love you. I love you. And we went back and forth in 2022 when in May you declared, whatever the hell it was. The
NL East is over. Yeah.
The NL East is over. Right? And we've gone back and forth about that and whether you're a little bit of a jinx or what is it? Forget the other word. And then we get to this weekend, and you couldn't help yourself. You couldn't leave it at, let's go get the Braves. Let's go get this. Now let's go get the Phillies. You had to go with the wild card is over. And of course, everyone's lost their mind. Even when I saw it, I rolled my eyes like, oh God, here we go. Not this again. And then what do we see happen? I don't think we've scored a run since.
Oh,
I mean, and I don't. No. Listen, this is because I love this. All I see. You don't understand. I get at your boy Sal this, your boy Sal that. I see people that tell your boy Sal to shut up. I'm like, well, I'm going to tell Sal to shut up. But Sega goes down. We don't score a run. We've lost 2 games. Braves are now back on top of us. What do you got to say for yourself? Why do you?
So I don't understand what you're. What are you getting at? What are you insinuating?
That you're what's the word? I forget.
You're the jinx. I guess.
There's another word for it. There's a mush. You're the mush.
Right.
Everybody said the other mush of the Mets.
So all right. So I am to believe that I am the one to blame for 2022. And now that the Mets
coincidence. And if it happens again.
Well, whoa. They lost 2 games. I mean, they split with the Braves. And I'll address this more tomorrow on the radio. Yeah, I'm not sure what time I'm going to get to it, but I'll get to it tomorrow at some point. But did you see my tweet about the Yankees?
Don't worry about it.
Did you see my tweet about the Yankees tonight?
That they were going to win?
Yeah, I think
Correct.
I saw it, but
Simple.
Yeah.
2 hours before the game, the Yankees will win tonight. Do you guys know what the score is of that game right now?
Yeah, it's not close.
Was it like 8-3?
But it's not the same. There's no.
So wait a second. So are these superpowers that I have? It only works to jinx the Mets. That's what I'm
Yeah, it
supposed
must
to
be
believe?
Because
true.
you're a Mets fan. You're not supposed to touch the money like your buddy, like Boomer says. You're calling. You can't touch the money, and you grab the money all of it all the
No.
time.
There's a big difference. In 2022, I legitimately believed that the division was over. Like I would have bet anything that the Mets would win that division. I didn't even really think much of it. I assumed that everybody felt the same way. The difference was I said it. And then obviously we know what happened. This was not that. I'll explain that. And I can't believe that there would be some people that foolish to think otherwise, but come on. I mean,
Like,
Honestly, I even told some people this. I said, I haven't spoke to Sal, but I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm pretty sure part of it is the fact that most of the fools that say they don't listen to Sal, they can't stand Sal, are the first to react when Sal says this stuff.
Here's the thing. First of all, I said it on the radio.
I thought you were having fun with it. I thought you did it to have fun. I thought you did it to have fun.
Yeah, I joked about it on the radio on Friday. When the Mets swept the Yankees, I said the Yankees are dead and the Mets killed them. Do you really think I think the Yankees are dead? Like,
I kind of
does anybody really think
the Yankees were dead? So
yeah, well, does anybody really think the Yankees are dead? Like, nobody really thinks that. So you have to understand the entertainment part of it, which a lot of people just seem to miss. The other thing is, I did the wild card is over Friday morning on the show. That was before they even set foot on the field and kicked the Braves' ass Friday night. So I feel like it's just a convenient. I'm shocked that Met fans would blame. I actually am shocked, and it just. I guess I give the people the benefit of the doubt to be smart enough to understand that jinxes aren't real and that I, in fact, have nothing to do with the results of the games. But if you want to blame me more than, I don't know, David Peterson or Brandon Nimmo or Francisco Alvarez, so be it. I was just having fun doing my job. And I really do believe the Mets are going to be a wild card team, and I believe they'll finish ahead of the Braves. But that was not what that was about. That was more about having some fun.
there's nothing wrong about being confident with your team, though. Like, even though you say it's for like, to have like a certain type of, you got when you obviously you've been in the media forever. You know that you have to spice it up a little bit. You got to be entertaining, but I think you believe it as well.
Well,
like you're not saying no lies.
100%. I was actually texting with Jerry Blevins that night. He's like, Sal, come on. I'm like, dude, first of all, how could you not see that like, how could you not get the joke? It was an obvious joke. The Mets weren't even ahead of the Braves in the standings yet. They were just about to. Citi Field was going nuts. I'm assuming you were there, Hector, or not? Or no?
No, I wasn't able to make it this weekend.
Well, whatever. Citi Field was going nuts. Every Met fan was losing their mind at the moment. To me, it was my way of losing my mind and enjoying the run. And obviously, when I say something like that, I know it's going to get a lot of traction. But the negativity in the couple of the days that has followed, that's just ridiculous. It is what it is. I really don't care. But
did you see Frank the Tank?
I did. I saw it. Multiple people sent it to me. Yeah.
Oh my!
Frank is not happy.
I don't bother sending you that stuff.
Funny. I'll admit, I thought that was funny. How can you take
it's hilarious?
Frank's the GOAT.
That's
the guys what you're gonna say, Hayden. You got Sal out here. That's all you're gonna say. Frank's the GOAT.
Yeah, exactly.
Frank's the GOAT at what?
At losing his mind, I guess.
Exactly.
When they lose, yeah.
Right. Well,
because he was quiet for 2 weeks for 2 months when they were winning. So,
but people just like negativity, man. People just like negativity. I did a video the other day. I did a video about Lindor and the family thing. That thing had over 5,000. Last time I checked, I do a video giving Lindor tons of props for the turnaround. It may have gotten 1,000 views.
Right.
So
why don't you just predict the Mets will win the wild card and see how that does?
No. You got me to jump on the bandwagon when you were in 2022 for the division stuff, and
but because you believed it, there's nobody who would. There's nobody.
And I believe we're going to win the wild card.
Nobody would be more critical of this team than I would when the time comes. I've been that this year. So when I believe in them, it should hold some water. Unfortunately, they fell apart in 2022. That's not my fault. but I did believe that they were going to win the division. And I do believe in them now. Again, the other day was not the same as 2022. People can make whatever they want of it. I thought it was a clear joke. But either way, I do believe in this team.
That's how I took it too. That's what, in 2022, it legit bothered me. We went at it a couple of times in the overnight.
Yeah, but you were bothered at it. Do you really think I had something to do with it?
No, of course you didn't have something to do with it. I'd be
Okay.
an idiot. It just the optics of it, the fact that you said it, it bothered me when you said it. It bothers me when Gary Cohen says that David Peterson, was it Peterson? No, McGill yesterday, 5 no-hit innings, whatever the hell it was, 3 no-hit innings, and then boom, right away you knew the hit was coming. That bothers me. Does he have anything to do with it? No, he doesn't.
Well,
have anything
it's not our
Shut your
problem.
mouth.
You crazy.
Shut your mouth and don't say that's not you now.
Yeah.
But when you want to say that again, shut your mouth. Don't say that. We don't want to hear it, even if we believe it. I believe it. We argued early on in the season when I was telling you, you're telling me, this team's going over. I said, Sal, a motivated team is a dangerous team. Sal, if this team can be about 500, I think they can be about 500. Sal, as long as you said earlier, they have Lindor, McNeil, and all of these guys, Peter Alonso and Nemo, and people want to tell me these guys, we should be this. So, of course, I believe it. I believe it now.
Just enjoy the ride, for goodness sake.
No, but this time it didn't bother me. I knew you were joking. For whatever reason, I've gone over that. I even defended you and got murdered for it. Even one of my buddies, I don't know if you saw, one of my buddies did a funny, I don't even know what it's called, meme, where you're like sleeping, happily sleeping, and I'm over here fighting darts for you or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Holding everybody back and stuff. He did that.
You guys have to realize what happens online is not real life. Like, none of that matters.
My bad, Sal. What do you want from me, Yeet? So this guy here thinks that I hate you, that I'm the number one Sal hater. Okay,
No,
whatever.
Not even close. I mean, this is shades of the overnight with 10-minute calls from you and Hector going on. I listen to Sal. I used to listen to you on overnights all the time when I worked overnights. You and Hector for the 10-minute calls I used to have back and forth, especially when you didn't agree. It was like perfect radio. So I do appreciate
that's
you.
What people don't understand, Bob. I'm glad you said that. People don't understand that. They think that I just kiss Sal's ass or whatever. Like, we got, because we would go at it. I would call like, dude, I respect you, whatever. I like that you're a Met fan, but you're nuts. I would tell him, you're nuts. And he would tell me I'm nuts, and we go back and forth, we scream, we hang up, and I'd be like, damn, how did that get so far?
That's sports talk. That's what being sports. That's what being a sports fan is about.
And I would call back and be like, "Yo, Sal, I apologize." He's like, "No, that was great." I'm like, "Yeah." Before we even became friends, you know what I'm saying?
I get why fans take their team and sports seriously. Sometimes I think it's a little too seriously, but I get it, because when I was 15 or 20 or whatever, I took it maybe a little too seriously then too. But as you get older, it's sports, man.
I'm 48 and I still take it serious. So I don't know what the hell.
Well, that's fine. You could, but there are bigger things to worry about in life than whether your team wins or loses.
Of course.
That's the reality.
It just makes it a little bit easier when your team wins. Like, come on. This was going to be a horrible summer.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me. I saw the Mets win a World Series in my life. Some of the people that think that I jinxed them, they haven't seen shit. So maybe they're the jinx.
Well, if you saw it, I think I'm 3 years older than you, 2 years older than you, whatever.
Okay.
Like, do you even really remember? I barely remember it. I want another one.
All right, are we done here? Can I hang up on Hector again?
So Sal,
no, we hang up on you here. I have the power here. You ain't gonna have the power.
So Sal, you always been getting on BT for one thing that you say very often. After the Mets beat down of the Yankees, there's one player you feel like the Mets are really going to go after, and you've been saying it over and over again, and that's Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm.
Finish it up before you go. Do you believe the Mets are going to get Juan Soto? Because I know you've been banging it to BT over and over again at any chance you get. Do you believe it?
I believe that Juan Soto will take the most money.
Okay.
And I believe the Mets will offer the most money. So those two things lead me to believe that Juan Soto will be a Met in the offseason. Yes, I believe that. And I felt that way before Soto got traded to the Yankees, after he got traded to the Yankees, after the historic start and the Mets' ridiculously bad start. I believe it wholeheartedly. Now, it doesn't mean that's going to happen, obviously. And if he does sign with the Yankees and not the Mets, it's not my fault. But I do believe that Juan Soto wants the most money, and I do believe the Mets are going to offer it to him.
Just stop saying it so you don't mush that too. No, but I gotta listen. I gotta be honest. You know, I've been fighting you on that too. I didn't think it was gonna happen. I thought once he went to the Yankees, it was over as far as that was concerned. Unlike you, I felt like the Yankees would offer comparable money, and he may take a little bit less to stay there because he was gonna have so much fun in the history and everything, and just all of it. You know, being in the Bronx and the community. But the way that this team has been playing, and at the end of May, I got upset, and I did one of my shows that I haven't done in a while, and I went on, and I was talking about because I thought Juan Soto was gonna go to the Yankees. I said Juan Soto's going to the Yankees. I don't care what Sal says or anybody says, but I said if you guys want to be able to get a chance for Juan Soto, then turn this damn season around. Stop talking about wanting to sell, wanting to blow it up, wanting to rebuild. Because why the hell would Juan Soto want to come to that? Yeah, maybe for the money, but is that something that you really want to overpay him and then have him sit around for 2-3 years as you're bringing guys up and trying to figure things out? No, make this a winning team and show him that this is something that he could be a part of, and other guys too, other free agents. So I've kind of changed my tune on that. We saw the interaction with him and Alvarez. That's how crazy I am, Sal. I didn't like the fact that he looked back. You think it was Lindor, the whole Lindor thing. I didn't like that Alvarez looked back at. Soto looked back at Alvarez when he hit the home run, smiling. I was like, drill him. Next time he comes up, put one in his ribs. I don't give a damn. We're all their friends. I don't care. When you're between the lines, you're not my friend. You're not my friend. I want to beat your head in.
That seems like a Hector issue.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is.
All right, I got to go now.
Absolutely.
We went 10 minutes
Sal, I
over.
appreciate you coming on, and I'll definitely be listening to you tomorrow with you and BT going at it back and forth. So I do appreciate you coming on late at night.
No problem,
guys.
guys.
He might have a special guest host with him.
Who? Oh yeah. I will get you on the podcast though. I want to do one of these.
Stop saying that, man.
No. Wait, I'll do it. I just haven't been doing them as much lately.
But I don't want people
Thank
to think
you,
that
guys.
I'm asking you to get on. You offered, and now you haven't done it. But whatever.
I'll do it. It's a long season. Relax. Thank you, guys. I do appreciate the support.
Thank you,
for
man.
supporting us, man. Thank you.
All right.
All right, guys. So that was Sal Licata. That was pretty awesome. Again, he didn't have to come on, and he did. And I give credit to Hector because he got the scoop on Sal. And I actually told Hector last minute to see if he can get a guest on, and we brought up Sal, and it worked out. So Hector, I appreciate that, man. That was awesome.
No problem. No problem.
All right, so let's keep talking. So
now
Hayden,
what?
Back to the topics.
All right, back to the topics. Sal got us off track. So, all right. So the Mets got the Twins coming up.
Junior, stop being a jackass, Junior.
Hey, listen. I want to be very honest with you guys, right? I know people talk about Hector kisses Sal's ass. Trust me, if you listen to the overnights with them two going at it, I can tell you right now, those were epic conversations. Like, I don't know how many people listened to the overnight with Sal when he was the overnight guy. Him and Hector used to go on for like 10 to 15 minutes every single day. If they didn't agree on something, it was perfect radio because they just yelled at each other. It was great. It was beautiful. And, working overnight, Sal kept me up because Sal screams overnight. He said, I have to keep myself up and I have to keep the callers and the listeners up. And that was why, I think Sal has been a little bit more subdued in the afternoon because obviously it's the midday, right? People are listening, people are up going about their business. The overnight, it's hard to keep people going. I mean, just ask Keith McPherson, who people can't stand, right? And I will never ask Sal to go against one of his coworkers, but I mean, it's true. I went many times after Keith McPherson on X because I think he's a troll. And I think he purposely does that. Right? When the Yankees beat the Mets, it's like him winning the World Series, and he's walking out Yankee Stadium holding his camera. Yeah, you Mets suck. And then when the Mets win, these games don't matter. So I do appreciate Sal coming on. It was shocking. I didn't think he was going to come on because I know we had the show. And, who knows when SOI pops up when the Yankees are finished. But, yeah, see, Sal's correct.
That's why the Yankees just finished, too. We got in time, too.
Exactly. Got him off just in time. So, yeah, Sal is correct, though, right? And he does believe the Mets are going to go and make one big move. And he wants it to be a starting pitcher. I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't agree. I'd rather go after the big arm bullpen arm. Just because
he said Snell, though. I was surprised he
I
said
was shocked.
Snell.
I was shocked
Yeah.
too. I thought he was going to say like a Flaherty or Crochet or something like that. But Snell is interesting. I wonder. I wish we had enough time to ask him why he said that. Maybe you can get him to do that on his show if you speak to him or something like that. But
No, tomorrow I hope to go tomorrow.
I'm very curious why he chose Snell. I know Snell's been pitching better over his last couple of starts, but he also is owed $30 million. Like I don't care how much money you have. That's a lot of money for a guy you probably can't trust.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm just funny you bring that up too, because he has an opt out too, because it's a 2-year deal with an opt out, and everyone assumes that he's gonna opt out, but I think that's only gonna happen if he has a great year. And this year's been, I mean, I know lately. Well, first he was hurt too, right?
He is a second half pitcher historically, though. I think that's why a lot of people are saying that.
But I wonder if Sal said Snell because he was talking about he don't think the Mets are gonna go crazy trading prospects. Maybe he's thinking you don't have to give up major prospects. You just got to take on that major salary and maybe give up a top 20 prospect or something like that. That maybe that's why he was thinking that, because look, I listen to Sal a lot. I don't believe he would rather have Snell than any other guys that are on the market right now. In Flaherty, Crochet, those type of guys, top line starters over Snell. But I think it's because of what he's been hearing behind the scenes, that the Mets are going for it, but going for it to the point where they'll probably add on a ton of money, like Sal said, than giving up top 5 prospects to get one of those top line starters. Now, I'm not going to complain if you get Blake Snell. Like, we could do a lot worse. I mean, would you rather see Blake Snell or Tyler McGill? I mean, I think everybody would pick Blake Snell.
No, and I think right now where this team is at, and listen, on the offseason, I want to know part of Blake Snell. I want to know part of Blake Snell. I worry about Blake Snell coming here and his attitude, and he's going to be able to deal with the fans and the way we are, psychos like me. But I think we could use a little bit of that energy that Blake Snell will bring on this team right now, especially to go on this run. You need that killer mentality. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you need that guy that's going to be a stopper. Blake Snell can be a stopper. So I'm kind of intrigued by it right now. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't so much before the season. At this moment in time, the way I feel about this team, because as much as I make kid with Sal and stuff about, I do feel this team is gonna be a wild card team. Shit. Listen, guys. If you've been watching this roundtable all year, first of all, we appreciate you. We appreciate you so much, and thank you so much for the support. And I know tonight there's a little bit more of you in here. Hey. We're good too. Yeah, we're good too. It's because of Sal, of course, and thank you, Sal, again. And now I lost my train of thought for talking nonsense. Jesus, what was I just talking about?
You were talking about Snell, I believe you were saying.
It'll come back to me. The point is, I'm all in on this team, man. I'm all in on this team.
Yeah, and listen, Hector Hayden, listen. When you make the playoffs, the records don't matter. What the records were during the season. It's 0-0 going into that series, right? Anybody can beat anybody at any given moment in the playoffs. I don't care what anybody believes or doesn't believe. It's a fact, right? Because if that's the case, it would be the NBA where the 2 best teams are going to be in the finals and the best team is probably going to win. It doesn't happen in baseball, right? It's the NHL playoffs now, the way the baseball is. The way baseball ends up, especially with, a team getting a bye, they come out flat. And then they can never catch their footing because the team that has been playing well and catching them off guard, and they don't even have a chance to take a breath. So, Hayden, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to where the Mets should go, right? Say if Sal's correct and his inside scoop is the Mets are going to look for a starting pitching, and they're going to probably have that big move is probably going to come from the starting rotation. Who would you want when it comes to because I know you're a guy that likes prospects, would you be willing to give up top prospects for the pitcher you really want, depending on who you like, or do you think they can go after a Blake Snell and just take on a ton of money and give a lower level prospect? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now when it comes to pitching, I do have some worries about the starting rotation right now. Obviously, losing Christian Scott for probably a couple weeks is unfortunate. Probably send him back down to AAA at this rate. Let him get back to what he used to be. Kodai Senga is probably out for the whole season. I mean, even if they make the playoffs, I don't even think they'd throw him in there. But right now, this rotation, it's something. I question how long David Peterson will last like this for. He's having a very good season. This has been his best season out of the four, and I do question and I do wonder if he can keep it up, if he will collapse. Obviously, the innings pitched are getting up on him. I will say McGill has really not been him. Questionable if they want to put him in the bullpen, which I've been saying for quite some time. Severino's innings are getting up there. Manaya's been great. Quintana's been great, but do you have confidence in this rotation going forward? And I think getting another starter does not hurt. I think it would help a lot. When it comes to who and what, well, David Stearns, we have the best guy for that. There are a couple of teams on the market that I think the Mets could target. People have talked about Snell. They talked about Kikuchi. They talked about Berrios. Eric Fetty's another guy from the White Sox, right? Garrett Crochet, he would probably cost a lot. Same with Tariq Skubal. Eric Fetty could be an interesting name.
That was the guy I was
I'd
looking
be
at.
curious to see how he does in New York. Kind of a interesting resume. I think was it KBO, right? In Korea. And then really turns it around with the White Sox this year. And, his numbers aren't horrible. They're pretty good. Obviously, I don't want to give up a top 3, top 5 prospect. I wouldn't really be willing to go that far. Call me a prospect hugger or whatever you want all to want. I wouldn't be against, getting rid of a 10, 11, 12, 13 type prospect. And I've said it for a while now, and I'm going to say it. Brett Beatty, I would have no issue if the Mets are going to buy, and if you can get some buying type trade, I would throw Brett Beatty in there. I know it sounds crazy. I know Miami, the Marlins over the last couple years were interested in Brett Beatty, and we talked about it before. Yeah, I think his stock may be a little bit different now than what it was back then, but his ground ball percentage is very alarming to me. And I mean, he's a AAA MVP. I mean, the Mets gave him 3 opportunities. He couldn't do it. Some of those had no pressure, and some of them did. And, I'm tired of playing the waiting game with Brett Beatty. Mark Vientos has been here, and he's had less opportunities, and he's performed. Yeah. Same with Francisco Alvarez, and arguably same with Ronnie Mauricio last year. So Brett Bus, Beatty, whatever you want, I don't care. But that's besides the point. So yeah, I mean, right now, I would like for the Mets to get a starting rotation arm, whether it's a 4-5 type guy, just to go out there and honestly, whether it's 8 innings, I want a quality arm. I don't want to go out there and get some nobody who's, going to give up 6 runs in appearance, but I got to go out there and throw quality starts. So whoever that is, I mean, I don't think the Mets are going to go after Snell. I don't think they're going to go after Crochet or Skubal. If they do, and they can get the right package for it, tip of the cap to Stearns. I have trust in David Stearns. I have more faith in him than silly, dumb Billy Epler 2 years ago. And the Mets have done more at this deadline right now than what they did in 2022 with, Vogelsnack and Darren 0 for 4 rough and Givens goes the lead. So, that's that. But
what the hell have those been? I never heard of
those. I know, there's some good ones, man. Where are those in 2022, man?
But, the rotation, the bullpen, I wouldn't be against getting a bullpen arm. I know that, we've got a couple arms. I still do worry, obviously. Nunez, Garrett, and Sean Reed-Foley is coming back from the IL. It'll be curious to see if all 3 of those guys can come back and be at the same level they were before. That's why I've emphasized putting McGill in the bullpen. He's great first time around the order, and then second time around the order. And so that's why I've said McGill in the bullpen would be great. I've said putting Budo back in the rotation, which people didn't like, which I understand why, but so yeah, I wouldn't be against getting another bullpen arm. I wasn't crazy about the Stanek signing, and I did say that on my podcast that I did upload a couple days ago. So don't say it was because it's today's outing. I did say it on that.
Yes, you did.
But right now, I would say the Mets need to go after at least one starter and one bullpen arm. And Sal said it, a quality bullpen arm, another lockdown arm would be great because you see
Yeah.
playoff teams, they have two great guys in the bullpen to go out there and
Correct.
shut it down in the 8th and 9th.
Right.
And to be honest, Diaz is so. I don't think he's lights out Diaz in 2022, but he's been okay recently. The command is still a little bit questioned, but who else do you have in that bullpen that's lights out? Of, oh my God, he has it. Ottavino.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Nunez. We'll see how he is from injury, but final thoughts on this topic. Just get a quality rotation arm and bullpen arm. I would love Tanner Scott. Chris just said in the chat.
Want Tanner Scott.
That 1,000 times. I would give up Brett Busbeatty in a heartbeat and another guy for Tanner Scott. I love him. I've said that I wanted him when he was with Baltimore a year and two years ago. So Tanner Scott would be a great arm in my opinion.
Hayden, I'll tell you right now, I think Stearns is trying to get Tanner Scott, and here's why, right? Stearns is not an idiot. This offseason, there was talks about Brett Beatty for Luzardo with the Marlins. The Marlins still like Brett Beatty, even though he's been a failure prior to this season. Prior to this, he was still a failure, right? We were talking about that. And the reason why Stearns didn't give him up, because we know Beatty was going to be the starting third baseman. So you're not going to give up your starting third baseman after Mauricio injury. So Beatty was your guy. So I can understand Stearns not willing to give him up for a Luzardo. But I still think if look, Stearns is not an idiot. He knows he's going to dangle Brett Beatty to the Marlins. And obviously, you got to give up more than Brett Beatty to Tanner Scott. But, I mean, if the Marlins are stupid enough to just give it up for Brett Beatty, I mean, I'll drive Brett Beatty to Miami tomorrow. Like, I pick him up. I go to North Carolina to New York and pick him back up and drive right back down or right back to Miami. Like, I mean, I'll pick up Hayden on the way. Like, I mean, we do that. Like, honestly. Like, but in my opinion, I think the Mets are trying to get a big bullpen arm. I feel like if you get one more big arm in this bullpen, I'm not too worried about who you get in this rotation. If you're going to give me a Fetty or a Quantrill, guys that can give you innings, even if they don't give you like above average starts, like I'm saying like 6 innings, 2 runs, but they give you 5 1/3, 5 2/3, 2 or 3 runs on a every start basis, and occasionally, if they're not doing well, they'll still give you innings to protect your bullpen. That's what I want in this rotation. That you need a starter that even when they're not doing well, they could still give you length. Like people bitched and moaned about Tyler McGill outing yesterday, but that was Christian Scott's start, right? That was supposed to be his start. If Christian Scott was pitching like McGill was, he would have been out in the 4th inning. Because the pitch count and the innings limit, they're not going to put pressure on him. They would have took Christian Scott out. So you use another bullpen. But because you got McGill and there's not really limits on him, you made him go 6+ innings and try to get him through a 7th. Because you're not worried about his innings limit and his pitch count. That's why it's scary to worry about young arms when people are like, bring up Christian Scott. Bring up Brandon Sproat. Bring up this guy, or these young prospects. It sounds good when you think about it in fantasy land, but when they got strict rules and strict innings limit and pitch counts, I don't care if he's pitching a perfect game, as I said many times in this show. That young pitcher is coming out of the ball game. That's not helping his team. He'll help you for 4 innings, 5 innings. What about the other 4? What about the other 5 innings that you have to use bullpen? Give me Tanner Scott. Give me a bullpen arm that is a guy that could be a shutdown guy who can occasionally close when you use Diaz 2 or 3 times in a row. And you don't have to worry about using Ottavino or Diekman or God knows who else. I know Nunez has been good in those spots, but I still rather have a guy who's been there before that I can trust other than, all right, it's the 9th inning again. We don't have Diaz today. Like, we go into a game when Diaz is not available, like, oh, my God, we're going to see Ottavino. Oh, my God, we're going to see Diekman. Like, that's the scariness of being a fan of the Mets, going into a game when there's no Diaz in the 9th inning. So I think we got to go after Tanner Scott. I think Stearns is going to get it done and get a number 3, solid number 3, maybe 4 starter that can give us innings at this deadline. I think that's the big name, the big arm we're going to get, a big bullpen arm. And I'm hoping it's Tanner Scott. Hector, final thoughts We play the Twins next. Obviously, Tuesday at 6 p.m. Going to be a lot of conversations. Hopefully, the Mets do what they need to do to get the rest of the needs of this roster to go to battle for the last 2 months. What are your final thoughts, buddy?
My final thought is go win that series against the Twins. As far as the trade deadline, I'm not gonna go on and on like you know and repeating everything you guys said. We know what the needs are. What I will say is this: I'm not someone who's gonna say trust the process. I'm not someone who's gonna tell you to trust blindly in anyone. But I will say this: I've said this many times. David Stearns, excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I was having a little dinner at the same time. Has not screwed up a trade deadline for us, right?
You're right.
David Stearns did not screw up the offseason that just happened because they told us what the plan was. And if you take that into account and you stop bitching and moaning because you didn't like the plan, it was a successful offseason. And, there's some people out here that want to harp on the guys that, had to be DFA'd, especially pitchers, bullpen arms, the Jorge Lopez, the Tompkins, and this and that. I even forget how many guys. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to trust that he's going to do the right thing this offseason. Like I said before, I think they'll buy whatever they feel fit to buy. My guy Darren, who always makes good points, I just saw it and left me here, but pretty much he said David Stearns traded Christian Yelich.
Correct.
Where are all those guys that he traded Christian Yelich for?
Yeah. Most of them are out of the league.
Yeah, I think one plays for the Mexican League. One's like a gym teacher.
Yeah.
They're all like fantasy.
You know what I'm saying? Even if you look at our prospects that we came into the season hype about, and I'm going to take out Alvarez, Beatty, and Vientos from that, right? But you can include them if you want. But if we look at the other guys, let's be honest. Jed Williams barely played, hurt. Okay. Drew Gilbert, we were told was about to be called up by Houston last year, which I was like, okay, so why don't we call him up? Hurt. Don't even know what his production has been. Luis Angel Acuna, he has a 1 week and a half, 2 weeks hot stretch. People go nuts, but you go look at his numbers, nothing really crazy, right? Like, who's in the minors really killing it? Oh, Christian Scott. We bring him up, and that's why people don't want to see him anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, this prospect thing is hit or miss, man. People trade Peter Alonso anyways. We're not going anywhere, and he's done, and he's gonna walk, and I'd rather get something. Are you really gonna get anything that's gonna really, really, really be worth Peter Alonso? That's why you're gonna get 5-6 players maybe for Peter Alonso. To hope that maybe one is a major league player.
Yeah.
Let alone become a star or whatever the hell you want to call Peter Alonso. So going forward now, I feel good. I'm upset about the Braves having lost 2 or 4, whatever, not won that series, not swept it, whatever the case may be. But I feel good. I feel good that this team has given me my summer back as far as a sports fan and rooting for baseball and watching baseball. I was going to be around and watch it anyways, but it wasn't going to be fun. And no, man, I'm looking forward to finishing this homestand strong. Go out there, take 2 or 3 from Minnesota, and then go out and let August be whatever the hell it's going to be, because it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of tough road trips.
Dude, only 9 games. Only 9 games at home for the whole month.
It's a tough August.
Insane.
We got a crazy travel schedule in August.
It's insane. They live in the West Coast.
Yep.
They live in the West Coast for the whole month, pretty much.
Right.
And then they have that one game in St. Louis in between, I think it's Colorado and Seattle.
Right.
Like, holy crap.
Well, listen. They've been playing better on the road than at home, even during their hot stretch. There are a couple of games.
I thought the home caught up a little bit. No,
it's gotten better, but they've still been playing a hell of a lot better on the road. So, but listen, to finish it up, guys. Here's the thing, right? If you notice one thing about Stearns, and I already noticed this, and Hayden, I know I believe you spoke about it on your podcast, and I think you brought it up. The draft of David Stearns was majority college pitchers. So what he always put bullseyes on in the farm system was pitching arms in his farm system. With the Brewers, he had a factory of pitching arms for the starters and the bullpen. Look at the team now that the Brewers are throwing out there. It's all his draft picks. In the bullpen, in the starting rotation, all his draft picks. He is the guy that values pitching prospects more than anything else. That's why I believe that every prospect that's not a pitcher is a possibility of getting traded. Number one, he didn't draft any of them. He has no emotional connection to them. And the last part, I think he values the pitching prospects more than anything else. Because what is more risky in the free agent market? A 30-year-old pitcher that has 1,000 innings on his belt, or a 30-year-old bat? It's less risky to sign a bat for a long-term deal than it is a starting pitcher for a long-term deal and a ton of money. I think he would rather pay a bat over an arm. He's going to cherish these pitchers a hell of a lot more in trades than he would position players. That's why I think Jet Williams is on the table. Now, I don't think Ryan Clifford and Drew Gilbert is on the table because I think those guys have spots on his team even next year. But I'm telling you guys, these pitching infielder position players, I would not be surprised if he's dangling them out there to see what he can get. Because I don't think he values position players more than pitching prospects. That's just my opinion. To try to end
if he trades a Jet Williams, I
don't care.
One of those guys. But
I mean, I don't care.
They better get to a World Series, or there's gonna be
I'm
crazy
not
uproar.
Not
from me or you, Rob. Not from us.
I understand that, but those are the same people that bitched and moaned about Kelnick, who is a serviceable major leaguer at best. Again, you're going to be trading Tanner Scott to the Miami Marlins. Say if Jet Williams, you trade him to the White Sox to get Crochet, right? Do you really? Who cares what Jet Williams does in the Chicago White Sox, who are going to suck for the next 5 years? He'll be a free agent before they get good. So sign him if he's that good, right? So we keep on thinking, oh, what if he's a great player? Who cares? If he's not helping you in 2024, why does it matter where he goes and what he does? There's a pretty good chance he won't be that good because percentage-wise, they usually don't pan out as good as we expect them to. And even if they do, if the Mets have a World Series banner in 2024 because Crochet was in our rotation and got us a World Series ring, do I really care in 2028 if Jet Williams is an MVP? Yeah, it might be a conversation, a topic in a conversation, but I'm gonna turn around like, wow, that's a nice banner. I like that World Series ring. I don't give a shit. Do you think Gleyber Torres with the Cubs, when Aroldis Chapman was traded to the Cubs and they gave up the number 1 overall prospect, do you think they would take back that World Series because they got rid of Gleyber Torres, who was supposed to be one of the best prospects in all of baseball? You don't take that. You could take that chance because of the possibility is more great that you can win a World Series over. I can tell you this right now. There's a greater chance the Mets are going to win the World Series this year than Jet Williams being an MVP candidate in the future, in my opinion.
I think the thing is,
have to do that
if the Mets are willing
I was
to
just reading
take-
MVC's comment. He said, would you give Crochet an extension? I think you have. If you make a trade like that,
Oh, yeah.
you have to make that. You have that has to be part of it.
It's Lindor trade over again. That's how good he can be.
And I'll say this, man. It doesn't matter. My bad, Hayden. It doesn't matter as long as Crochet pans out, though. If he turns out to be a bust, then
But we can't. Obviously we're gonna react if he doesn't do well, but we also react if he does good. But yeah, I mean, there's always a risk with any player you bring in here and sign a long-term deal to, right? 2 years ago, people didn't want Lindor a part of this team, think he's a bust and not worth the contract. Now he's an MVP candidate. So there's always a risk, right? If you're not willing to take risk, then why watch the game? Why be a fan? Because as a fan, there's going to be risk in any move, right? We can all think that Jesse Winker was a good pickup. But if Jesse Winker is a disaster, and because he's not playing against the Mets and killing them, he sucks, there's a lot of Met fans that act like Jesse Winker coming on this Mets team is Ken Griffey Jr. Have you seen the response? All the comments about Jesse Winker? It makes it seem like we just traded for Mike Piazza. The guy's the bench player. He's not as good as he used to be with the Reds. Like that's the thing. We're gonna react good or bad, but I don't think you can be afraid of making a trade because of the risk of that player being bad. Because if you do that, you're never gonna make a move. You know what I'm saying? Not saying us, but as a GM, you have to take risk. Even David Stearns, as careful as he is, has taken risk. When he traded for Christian Yelich, he had back problems when they traded for him. But he did it. Why? Because he knew that the salary would work out, knew that he had enough money to pay Christian Yelich, and also give up prospects. Because he knew he wasn't going to add any more salary, but he took the risk with the back injury and the future back injuries that Yelich will have. You have to take risk because sometimes when you take that risk, the rewards might be there. Yoenis Cespedes was a risk, right? His on base was terrible. Remember 5 days in Flushing? Sandy Olson talked all about it.
Yeah, but
I didn't like his swing rate, his strikeout rate. His on base percentage was bad.
There's different levels of risk, though.
Huh?
There's different levels of risk. I wouldn't call Cespedes a risk.
Oh, he was a big risk in 2015. You come on. Heck, listen. If you watch
Maybe because I wanted him.
I wanted him.
Obviously, everything is a risk. Everything you do is a risk.
Of course.
There's no short thing. But I wouldn't put him as, you know what I'm saying? Like, you knew if you got the Cespedes, you know what I'm saying? You were getting yourself an impact player.
Well, yeah, fans felt like that, but it was Justin Upton and Jay Bruce that was the number 1 and number 2 target for the Mets that year.
Yeah, which would have been
Like,
stupid.
Oh my God.
Which would have been stupid.
Thank God Alderson didn't have to make a choice if he had options because everybody jumped out at the last minute.
Sandy tries to play it off now, like, yeah, we want to say we would, he didn't want Cespedes.
No,
he didn't want Cespedes. He was convinced to take him, and the Carlos Gomez trade, thank goodness, falling through. The first time that the Mets doctors, trade, whatever department did something good. And it was, veto that trade or nix that trade, whatever the hell you want to call it. That was the best thing that could happen.
And oh, by the way, we did give up our number 1 overall prospect for Cespedes, a rental, by the way.
Hey, Johnny, thank you so much. I'm sorry. That's a great comment by Johnny. Put that up on the screen, Rob.
Look at that. Yes. Hey, Johnny, I know you've been on my channel before. I know, Johnny.
There we go.
Appreciate
that's great. But he said he likes us. Forget you. I know he likes you, but he said he likes us.
I haven't seen Johnny in a while.
Nah, Johnny, thank you, man. We appreciate that, man.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys. So, to finish up the stream, all right, we got the Twins next. We got the deadline on Tuesday, right? A ton of shows are going to happen by then. Who knows what the Mets are going to do? I just want to shout out everybody on X and on the YouTube channels. We had over 595 people consistently. That's an insane number, by the way. That's a huge number. And I appreciate that. A lot that had to do probably with Sal as well, obviously. But, I mean, they could have left right after Sal. They stuck around. So they wanted to listen to our big mouths. About all this nonsense.
That too. I appreciate it too, man. I know you guys hung out.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, they're 6-4 in their last 10. Quintana, Manaea, Severino in the Twins series. Let's win another series. Let's maintain a wild card spot. It drops down to 54 games after this series is over. And then we got a really tough August of road trips coming up. August is going to make or break this team. That's the truth. September could be irrelevant, or September can be a hell of a lot of fun. Because August, that's a tough travel month. I don't care how good of a team you might be. That West Coast travel and going back and forth, Midwest, West Coast. I mean, they're basically going to be living, like Hector said, on the West Coast. I mean, they might as well buy a condo and just hang out on the beach. Like, that's
I told my buddies that they should go buy houses out there.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we want to thank you all for watching. Hayden and Hector always brings it every other time. Unfortunately, Chris couldn't be here. He did show up in the chat for a little bit, but I want to give a big shout out to Sal Licata for, popping on before his SNY show. He didn't have to, right? He kind of had to cancel because of Sunday Night Baseball, and he did it early on, which I respect.
Thank God for the blowout. Thank God for the
Yeah,
blowout.
yeah,
That
exactly.
made him come
So no, Sal was out. Gave his opinion. He didn't have to. He could have just said, "The hell with these losers," and
Right.
show up on his show tomorrow and get ratings there. So I do appreciate Sal for coming on.
Right. And my bad, Robert. Even answering the whole question with the whole, the wild card is over, like, because that's something that's
important
content for his show.
Yeah,
And that's
listen,
content for his show. And he still answered.
I didn't want to be. Yeah, I didn't want to be disrespectful because quote unquote my channel or whatever. I didn't want to do that to Sal because he doesn't know me. To call him out on that, even though me and Hector talked about it, I was gonna let Hector do it because you guys are cool. I think it was the appropriate way to do it to call him out with somebody he knows than somebody that he's never met before. I think that would have been wrong and disrespectful. Even though I don't think
we got to get on next though.
And I don't even think it's calling him out either. You know what I'm saying? It's just asking the question. Let's talk about it,
Hey, we got it out there though, and then we all responded. So I think that was important to get it out there as well. So listen,
I don't
guys.
know who's gonna do that one, Darren. I don't know who's gonna pull that one off. But
listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. If Frank the Tank ever comes to my channel,
that's what I was just gonna say, dude. We gotta get him on.
I'm telling you right now, he will. You think he hates Sal? He'll hate my guts because he can't stand people who get famous off of the Mets losing. Because where was the Frank the Tank videos over the last 2 months where the Mets are the best team in baseball? They didn't even go viral. You know why? Because he's irrelevant when they win. When they lose,
what makes him funny.
Yeah, but it's a problem though because he would not be with Barstool if the Mets were a good team. Because his whole thing
Get Gary Cohen on the stream. Robin, I know just about that.
He missed the freaking train because he was too lazy to get up early. And the trains were delayed. We know that it's New York City. What the fuck do you expect?
Rob, why don't we get Gary Cohen on here? I mean, I have a great rapport with him, as you know.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. Oh, that would be fun. Oh no, but he has to get paid though. Hayden.
He has to get paid to come on.
So Hector. Hayden, go ahead. Tell him real quick because that's hilarious.
So to keep things short, not to bash or slander Gary, but 2 years, was it 2 years ago or last year? Rob and I were at spring training together, and I saw Gary Cohen in the corner, and I went up to him and I took a picture with him. People were getting autographs, and I was gonna ask if he could say something like a 3-second thing, whatever. And he said, "Oh, usually I get paid to talk." And I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, very funny." And he's like, "Oh, I'm being serious." I was like, "Ouch."
Wow.
Yeah. I was shocked when he
say
said
no. You don't have to bring up money. I mean, that's a little,
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, dude.
Yeah, that was hard. That was tough. But yeah,
listen,
all right, guys.
I've been elevated with Gary Cohen.
Stop jinxing us.
Yeah, Gary is.
No, like he just he seems like a jerk, honestly.
He is a punch.
And I know everybody.
He has a punchable face.
He's a fan. He grew up a fan. He's one of us. And then I think he's beyond being one of us. I think it may be a little bit up in here. You know what I'm saying? Because he gets in the elevator and listen, I get it. You're Gary Cohen. You're getting in an elevator at Citi Field. The last thing you want is everybody to, you know what I'm saying? But
I understand that though, but you know what? Keith Hernandez and Ron Dolan are probably the two of the coolest people. I met Keith Hernandez a couple of years ago, and he was freaking awesome. And listen, you guys are royalty. You could be an asshole to me, and I would probably still be like, "Hey," but I mean, seriously, those guys are the nicest two. Ron Dolan is like the nicest guy ever.
Listen, I'm a grown man. Reed Foley was kind of a jerk not too long ago, and
active players can be iffy. Active players could be iffy for sure. But listen, guys, it's been a lot of fun. It's been almost 2 hours. We had Sal on. Thanks to Hector for probably telling Sal that he was disrespectful for canceling on us. And he said, "Hey, Hector said he owed us." So I think Sal heard that and kind of was like, "Fuck this! I ain't messing with Hector."
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
George, no, I don't sleep. Actually, I never do.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
neither do I.
Yeah.
Fucking life
Yeah,
is hard.
I'm gonna eat some food. That's what I'm starving. So, guys, it's always been a pleasure. Hopefully, next roundtable, Chris will be here as well. Chris is enjoying his vacation again. Schedules suck. What are we gonna do? But with that said, guys,
Guys,
this
life
was,
is a vacation. Jesus.
was an excellent roundtable. Over close to 600 people in the stream. I do appreciate it, everybody. Even if we couldn't get to everybody's comments, there was a hell of a lot of you guys here. So, with that said, it's been a great night, guys. Let's take a series against the Twins. We're still in a wild card spot. Have a great night, guys. Hector?
Hold on, Rob. Let me ask you a question before we go, though. I think I mentioned this before, but you got more on top of this than I am. Do the Mets not have like the best record in baseball, or one of the best records in baseball? Let's say from the meeting or whatever. Like there's a
June
point.
1st, I think they have the best record.
I think Houston and the Mets are like head to head on that.
Okay, so I say that let's not lose sight of that, everyone. Let's not lose sight of the fact that we came into this season thinking this was a bridge year to the future. This was more about repurposing. This was more about whatever. All of them stupid words that I always forget, right? That's what this year was about. This was supposed to be a nothing year. This was about building value. Oh, we signed J.D. Martinez. We signed Luis Severino so that they can have good years and we can sell them and stock up the farm system. Don't lose sight of that. And look at where we are right now. I did spaces on X, Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, where I was told this team would not win more than 55 games. 60 if they were lucky. Hey, okay, we've been stuck at 55 for 2 days. I actually posted that on one of my posts. I was told this team wouldn't win 55 games, and look where we are now. Okay, but let's not lose sight of the fact that this team, in the month where the season usually dies, when even we were doing these roundtables talking about to hell with this team. Even if at the end we will calm down and say, damn it, but please, guys, turn it around. So we're upset today. Look at what we're upset at. That we just lost 2 games to the Braves and they jumped right back over us in the wild card. That is a good thing to be upset about, guys.
Yep. You're right
And
about
lady.
that. You're 100%, Hector. You're 100% right. Listen, keep it going. Let's go Mets. Another roundtable in the books. It's been a long time coming. We've missed you guys for a month. We're finally back together. We're gonna try to do this thing as hopefully weekly again, as the schedules kind of come back to earth a little bit. So, guys, with that said, it's been a great night. Let's beat those Twins over the next couple of days. Let's get more pieces and reinforcements at the deadline. Stearns is cooking, guys. With that said, have a great night. Let's go Mets. And we'll see you next time, guys. Have a great night.
You gotta believe.